Hey everyone, welcome to the Be Good and Do Good podcast, a show where we delve into our own unique experiences during our time as missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm your host, John, here alongside my brother and co-host, Jake. I am really excited about this episode because there's a lot of changes for me.
Oh, really? I haven't read your notes, so I'll have to take your word for it. But
Well, the reason being is at the end of, it's not really this episode, but like by next episode, I'll have a new companion in the same area,
wow.
but a
Yeah.
new companion. So like, it's like, and like my next companion is a real trip. Trip through memory lane. You'll have to go.
So is this, I guess, the last episode with Elder Elephant then?
This will be the last yeah, this will be the last
elephant
episode with Elephant, right? Yeah, this will be the last episode with Elder Elephant. Yep.
Oh man,
So
he had a good run.
he did.
He took us.
But I mean,
he started us off well.
But spoiler alert, there's a double dose of him later on in this in our podcast. Yep.
Oh boy, stay tuned. Yeah,
Stay
that's exciting.
tuned. Yep. Another reason why I'm way excited is because if you all watched the general conference, a 17-year-old missionary prayer was answered on by President Nelson in the last talk of the session. He said that there's going to be a Des Moines, Iowa temple built in Des Moines. And
That's awesome, dude.
I pretty much leaped and shouted for joy, even though we're not supposed to. I leaped and shouted for joy on my couch, when I heard. I'm like, yes, finally.
That's huge.
Yeah.
It's about day time. It's been a while since you've served there. So plus this will be the first one in Iowa, right?
The very first one, because like I've mentioned before, there's one in Winter Quarters and there's one in Nauvoo. So they're like on the opposite edges of the state. But this one's going to be central Iowa, which will be awesome for a lot of people there.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's a huge blessing to the people that are living there now. Some of the people that you knew on your mission, as well as I'm sure the church has grown quite a bit in Iowa since you've been there. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm really excited for it, honestly. Yeah.
Have they come out with probably not, but at some point soon they'll probably come out with a rendering of what it's going to look like?
Nope, it's just in the developmental stages right now.
Yeah,
so
probably sometime in the next 6 months or something like that they'll come out with it, and
which will be cool. We'll have to repost that or whatever on our Instagram. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of mission temples, the Pittsburgh temple is very close to completion. I follow. I follow on Instagram. They have this updates on the Pittsburgh temple page that you can follow. And obviously I'm not going inside right now, but from the outside it looks totally completed. I'm guessing they're in the process of furnishing it and finishing up some stuff on the inside and getting ready, but I would not be surprised if in the next few weeks or so we get a announcement of the open house and the dedication. So
well, one of the things that people said when Iowa Des Moines was announced, and I was like, so awesome. They're like, are you going to go to the open house? And I'm like, I should, and I hope I get to. So you should go to the Pittsburgh temple open house if you can.
Yeah, so I was talking to you a little bit before we started recording, but I am going to Pittsburgh in October with my wife. She has a fun work trip in Pittsburgh, so we'll be there for a few days in October, and I'm hoping by then it's at least in the open house stage, if not dedicated. So I'm hoping, let's see, that's about 6 months from now. So I'm pretty sure in the next 6 months or so, it'll either dedicated or open house. So I'll definitely be able to check it out when I go there then. And I'm sure that'll be just an awesome full circle moment for me to be able to be in my mission and to see the temple there. There's just a huge, this now, but there's just a huge, I guess, feeling of pride in having a temple in your mission, especially if there wasn't one there before, I contributed to that, in a very, very small, tiny way. I helped in order to, I guess, warrant building a temple there. So it's definitely a really good feeling.
I'm pretty sure I mentioned this before, but like one of my goals going out on my mission was to have a temple built in Iowa Des Moines. And it took 17 whole years for that to happen, but it finally is happening. So,
Hey, don't give up on your goals, man. This is a good like inspirational story. We should make a movie out of this.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool.
That's
So,
really sweet.
yeah, yeah. And then I mean, this is the first time we've talked in a little while. If for those that actually follow us, they're probably like, "Where's the 22nd episode?" Right?
Yeah, it's been a few weeks, but for those who were paying attention the last podcast that we recorded, we talked about a lot of different stuff. I at this point in my mission started having, even more serious concerns about my mental health, and so I started talking to a counselor on the mission who was kind of in charge of our routine, and so that was super helpful for me. John was
Mhm.
playing a lot of Zelda, not on the mission, but in real life. Have you
Yeah.
finished?
We beat it. We're just now
You
in the
beat Breath of
we beat Breath of the Wild, yeah, which was actually kind of
Awesome.
anticlimactic, honestly.
Yeah,
Other
I feel
other
like
things
that
were
is how it is sometimes.
other things were harder in the game than beating the final boss.
What's his name again? He has a
His name
name.
Well, there's 2 final bosses. It's the same guy, but he, like, changes form, but it's oh, man, now I'm forgetting it. Calamity Ganon and Dark
Ganon.
Beast Ganon.
That's right.
Calamity
Is
Ga
there a spirit or a divine beast that's a camel?
There is, yes, and
Okay, I was right.
on that divine beast, there is a Ganon that is a thunder blight.
Interesting. Is
It's
there
pretty
also
cool.
a lizard of some kind?
There
Divine
is.
beast?
There's like
Heck
a
yeah, man.
there's a gecko on
Okay,
that
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah. I think I said it was like a lizard or a salamander or something like that, but it's a
Yeah.
gecko. That's
Or
sweet.
maybe it is
Okay,
a
yeah.
salamander. It might be a salamander. Same family, right?
Some kind of semi-aquatic animal.
Yep.
Sweet. Well, congrats. But yeah, so it's been a little while since we've talked. John, at
Yep.
least on the mission, uh, at that time was also dealing with quite a lot of boldness from his companion, not
Yeah, so
towards him, fortunately.
Elder Elephant was wanting to make a statement before he left the
Yeah.
area, as you'll
Mhm.
see in the next couple of things, but he was trying to be really bold with everybody. So
All right. Well, why don't we start there? In what ways, I guess this week was he, I guess, continuing his boldness?
well, yeah, so, I guess I mean, I'm not really gonna talk about his boldness. I don't know why I said there's more, but, I mean, he was still trying to make a statement, like, um, I talked about Jorge in the last couple episodes and how
Uh-huh.
he's been progressing and, like, my friendship with him has been increasing, and,
Yeah.
this week, I was able to give him one of, dad's ties that he let that my our dad's ties. He gave me a tie that had a picture or, like, a woven in picture of the Peru Lima Temple, and so
Yeah.
I gave Jorge, this tie, and he was just, like, so excited to get this tie, and he's like, "Are you sure, Elder? Are you sure you wanna give this tie to me? I know this is really special," and I'm like, "My dad gets these ties every time that he goes to Peru, so it's not really really a big deal, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to show my love for Jorge in this way, and, and then the very next day, we were in Jorge's house, and I went to the bathroom, and as I came out of the bathroom, I could tell that Elder Elephant and Jorge had been talking, kinda scheming, and I was like, "What's going on?" And I guess they were talking about baptism and who would be the baptizer of Jorge. Since Elder Elephant was going to be leaving, they said, "Well, Elder Gonzalez, Jorge asked me personally if I could baptize him," and yeah, of course, I was like so excited. I had like a whole
Yeah.
whirlwind of emotions, and of course, I said yes because that's amazing, and so
Mhm.
just like that was really exciting. I was so excited. And like I'm excited for when we do get to his baptism. I'm not going to talk about it now, but like something funny happens at his baptism. But but yeah, Jorge has been progressing, and um, I'm just gonna kind of talk for a little bit, okay? Because
No,
this,
you're
this
good, man. I'm eating this
there's a
up.
lot of stuff. So we had to invite well, okay, so let me back up by saying Spanish had still been really hard for me on the mission at this point in time. And so the Sunday that I read this journal entry, I had was being the translator for the sacrament meeting for that day, and the bishop and the bishop's son was giving the sacrament meeting. But afterwards I was like, my brain was fried, because I don't know, if you start doing something and you're not used to it, your brain, how your brain gets fried
Oh
when
yeah,
you're
absolutely.
when you're doing something like, yeah. So my brain was fried, and I'm like, wanted to go home. But later that day, if we invited an investigator, which we did, Jorge, we invited Jorge and another guy named Alejandro,
Uh-huh.
recent convert, to a stake meeting. It was like a stake priesthood meeting kind of thing. Um,
Okay.
that we could go all the way to Ames, Iowa, which was like an hour away, to participate in this meeting. So Jorge was able to go with us, and I didn't have to translate the whole thing. Like, it's funny because like we we if we didn't bring an investigator, we wouldn't have been there. But since we were
Okay.
there, we were the only translators there for the Spanish speakers.
That's really dumb. That was really
Yeah,
poor planning on their part.
poor for that. So, anyways, Elder Elephant and I were the translators, and Elder Elephant translated all the talks except for one. I translated the talk of one of the presidents of the AIM stake, and his name was President Evans. Which, if we remember way back when, in like one of the first episodes when we were talking about mission calls, there was one of my friends was from Iowa, and she's the one that like guessed that I was going to be going to Iowa.
Oh yeah,
This
I
was
remember.
this was her dad that was speaking, President Evans,
Oh,
and
that's crazy.
yeah. And so I was translating it, and while he was talking about that, he was like giving a talk about like how, I'm not sure what the gospel message was, but he was telling an experience about like how you say something out loud. I think it was about the spirit, honestly. You say something out loud in a cave, and the echo goes back to you. And so
Mhm.
when you're translating something in Spanish, if you don't know the word for something, which I didn't know the word for echo, it was like you have to like describe what you're translating, right? You got to be like, well, it's the reverberations off the wall, or you gotta it's the
Yeah,
sounds coming
that's
off the wall.
complicated. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, Elder McClaws, what's echo? What's echo? Because he had like his dictionary, but he didn't get in time. So I had to describe what it was. Finally, we at the very end, I asked a Spanish speaker, "Hey, what's the translation for echo?" And guess what? It's echo. Just
Of course it
ECO.
is. Oh, ECO, so it's spelled a little bit
ECO.
differently?
It's just spelled differently. Yeah.
Echo.
Echo, right?
That's funny.
Echo.
I
Yeah.
thought you were gonna
So
say that you didn't know how to describe it and so, like, acted it out. And I
oh
feel like
no.
I just had this image in my mind of just you just like, I don't know, trying to use your hands to, like,
Mhm.
describe an echo, but this makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, actually we were in a totally different room as the whole meeting, because you can't be in
Oh,
the
okay,
same
so,
room.
like, the people were, like, had headphones on or
They
something,
had headphones on, yeah.
and you were broadcasting your translate. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And what's really cool is I got to meet President Evans right after the meeting and say, "Hey, I know your daughter. She's really cool." Uh,
And he's like,
and
"Stay away from my daughter. Keep your
possibly,
mind on the work, elder."
yeah,
No, I'm just kidding. That's awesome,
yeah,
though.
yeah. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. Um, I'm gonna talk some more, just a little bit more, and then you can talk about your stuff.
You're good, man.
Because this all goes together. So, doing the translation helped me with my confidence that week, but still, there were still some setbacks that I had. Like we bumped into this guy, which for some reason he was a little cuckoo, just a little bit, because he had a briefcase full of vials of like probably incense or something that he was selling. And maybe that's not cuckoo. It might not be that cuckoo, honestly, or crazy. But it just the way he was acting was like a little bit crazy. And like he literally said this to me, Elder Gonzalez, you're going to be wading through water while God laughs at you. And Elder Elephant, you're doing fine, in Spanish.
That's so
Uh,
random. Kind of
yeah,
insulting.
a little bit insulting. So I mean, one of the reasons why I say he was cuckoo is he's just like he tried to make a point of saying that Christ was offered frankincense and myrrh as a baby, so that's why he's selling this incense and stuff, and just like trying to equate it that way, which is
That's weird.
interesting. Yeah. So, anyways, just a little bit of setbacks in Spanish speaking that week, but I translated a whole sacrament meeting and one talk at a stake meeting, so that was fun.
That's really
And then
impressive, honestly. From my outsider's perspective, like at this point, you had been out on the mission for like what, 2 months, almost 3 months or something.
yeah, I
Like having
mean
to translate it. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say it's funny because Jorge is like, you did well, but it's like, how would he know if I did well?
That's true.
So yeah, but it was good. It was really good. Just trying to speak Spanish and having my brain fried, being really tired after.
Yeah,
But
and at least now you'll never forget the Spanish word for echo ever again. It's
ever.
ingrained in your mind permanently. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So this was the end of my second transfer. I was getting a new companion, which I will call Elder Leopard. And
Ah,
he
the
was
introduction of Elder Leopard.
Elder Leopard. Yeah. He was Elder Delgado's mission trainer, and he was coming to quote Greenie bust. This is mission slang. Greenie bust me. And I'll talk about him next week, and I'll talk a little bit about transfer speculation because that was a huge thing for Spanish missionaries in the Iowa Des Moines mission.
Which makes sense because, Spanish missionaries, I'm guessing, have a very limited amount of areas that they can go to, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah. There
a
were
lot
only
less than English. Yeah.
there were only 7 areas. So there was a whole bunch of transfer speculation. Like in my journal, I was like, well, there could be one of either 4 things. I could be staying with I could be staying with Elder Elephant. Elder Elephant could be staying here getting a new companion. Elder Elephant and I could be transferred out, or I could be getting, or sisters could be coming and so like transfer speculation was a huge thing on our mission, and I'll talk about that next week.
I think trans speculation in general is just really entertaining for
It
missionaries,
is, yeah.
Yeah, your life is composed of 100% just being a missionary, so you have to look for entertainment any way that you can.
Yep.
And it's always exciting, where am I going to go next, or who's going to be the next person that comes and is my companion, or whatever it might be. So
Yeah.
it's fun. It's fun. Transfer days, or when they sent out the transfer announcement or whatever, was always a very, very entertaining day. Did they
Yep.
did they email it to you guys, or how did you find out, or did they call
Oh,
you?
we would get called. Yeah.
That makes sense.
I
So
mean,
we got emailed, but
if you want to talk
we
about
had
this, if you want to talk about this now, the transfer speculation was that we would call each other, and actually our mission president made a rule that we couldn't call each other, so we did like this loophole thing where we would call each other but leave a message on each other's phone and say Elder so and so is going to so and so probably blah blah blah.
oh my gosh, that's such a
So
missionary thing to do.
it was so weird because like the cell phones like had this ability that you could just like send a voice message to them instead of actually calling them. So when President Talbot was like, "Oh, you guys can't call about transfer speculation," they were just like, "Oh, I got a way around this. I'm just gonna send a call message to somebody and
Oh my
say,
gosh.
so and so is going here, or something like that. So,
That is surprising.
yeah.
Sorry, I was just gonna say that's surprising that that technology existed at the time. Because I mean, obviously you can send voice messages like no problem now with our smartphones, but I'm surprised back then with your guys' brick phones you were able
Yeah,
to do that.
exactly. Yeah, it was a crazy time. Transfer speculation, and like there will be a story that I have for way later on where Elder Elephant calls me and is like, "You're getting a second dose of Elder Elephant."
Oh, so
It was so
dramatic.
funny.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So, but don't remember this, my podcast listeners. You shouldn't remember this. I'm not gonna
Yes,
serve
just
with Elder
wipe it.
Elephant again. Wipe it from your
Un
memory.
unless yeah, no. I'm sure a lot will happen between now and then Elder Elephant will come back maybe, and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't see this coming."
Yeah,
But
exactly.
that's
So
awesome.
what was happening on your mission?
Well, first I want to talk about what was happening outside the mission, which is arguably more important, and that was football season.
Oh
Football
yeah.
season was upon us, and for the first time in a long time, I was not partaking of it, and so it was very detrimental to to my physical and mental health.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I had you as well as our mother who would send me updates. John, you would even send me videos sometimes of
Yeah.
like little really ghetto recordings that you would record of like the
The
the TV
highlights.
screen or something like that. Yeah, of the highlights. So, although
Yeah.
unfortunately, if anybody here listening is a BYU fan, you'll know that this was the 2017 season, and there weren't a lot of highlights to be had in the
Yeah.
2017 season. Um, but I was sure to note that football season was starting in my journal and in my emails because it just really had a really bad impact on me. I mean, missionary has FOMO, but this was the very beginning of my FOMO.
Of your FOMO. Every time there was
Yeah,
a football season or every time there was a Wimbledon or Australian Open or French Open, right?
yeah.
US
I missed
Open.
2 major victories from Roger Federer. That
Ah,
still
and that
haunts
was
me to this day, and his
that
last
was
ones too.
the end of his career even, right?
Yeah, his 20th major he won while I was gone. So, anyways,
Yeah,
I'm
I
trying
would
to
send
dwell on the positive. What?
I would send you, so just so you know, I would watch even if they lost, I would watch the post-game show and they would show this highlight reel of like what
Mm.
happened. And so I would just get my camera and like probably illegally record the screen and be like, and then I'd send it to Jacob and be like, these are the highlights for this such and such a game. And it'd be pretty funny, honestly.
I mean, you did the same thing with
With
Wimbledon.
tennis too.
Yeah, with Roger, I know well, he did win Wimbledon that year in 2017, and you recorded match point so that I could watch it, which is awesome because I love match point. You know, they always
Yeah.
fall down on the ground or put their arms up and start jumping, and so
I
I was
bet
at
you've
least
watched
able to see that.
I bet you've watched it since then, have you?
Oh,
Like the whole
for
thing?
sure. Oh, you the whole match?
Like
Yeah,
the
I
whole
have.
match? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I've watched the whole both full matches since then.
Yeah.
Maybe I should watch them again soon. That's fun. Yeah, and I watched the videos that you sent me, like, of the match point. I probably watched it, dozens of times on my journal,
Yeah.
just
Yeah, I
because
bet.
anytime I was feeling a little bit of homesickness for Roger, I watched it. So that was cool. So
Yeah.
thank you for doing that.
Of
Uh,
course.
that made my week. But other good things were happening on the mission as well. We started teaching somebody named Sharon, who um, was actually the daughter-in-law of a member in the ward. So that's kind of how we got introduced to her.
Very cool.
She was the wife um, of one of the ward members' sons. So yeah, daughter-in-law. I think that's how that works.
Yeah,
Um,
I think so.
she showed up at church one day just for the heck of it and absolutely loved it. I think she came with her mother-in-law, and she
Uh-huh.
just the spirit that she felt there. And of course, us being missionaries, we were like, dang, who's this woman? We got to go talk to her. So we went and talked to her and eventually set up an appointment, and she started progressing really, really quickly, which was awesome.
Very cool.
But I remember this one lesson in particular. It was, probably the fourth or something lesson, and it was time for us to talk about the commandments, and that involves the word of wisdom. And
Yeah.
in Pennsylvania, I mean anywhere really, but especially in Pennsylvania, word of wisdom is a major issue. Um, Namely, I want to say it's like top three most like high smoking states in the country.
Uh-huh.
So, like, everybody smokes, which fortunately was not an issue for Sharon. But when we arrived at the house to teach her the word of wisdom lesson, she was drinking like this huge, like almost like gallon, like of iced tea, like green tea. Like,
Yeah.
and she was like taking swigs of it during the lesson, and we were like, "Oh no, like this is not gonna go well." So, anyways, we taught her about the word of wisdom, and she was like, well, it looks like I just drank my last sip of tea. And we were like, seriously, like that easy? Like, are you kidding? She's like, yeah, like if God says I can't have it, then I can't have it. And I was like, wow, like this is
Wow.
awesome.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
she just gave it up. Well, from what we know, she just gave it up right there on the spot. So we
Yeah.
were really excited about that, and we were also teaching her tithing, which I don't know why we planned it this way, because word of wisdom and tithing are two really big commandments,
Yeah, they are.
that probably shouldn't be taught in the same lesson, especially if you think there's going to be an issue with one or
Yeah.
both of them. But we
And
taught her tithing in the same. Sorry, go ahead.
they're also like very separate, two different topics
Yeah, they don't
altogether.
have really have they don't really have much to do with each other, but I guess we were just trying to fast track the
Fast track
baptism,
it.
like, yeah, and just be
Yeah.
like, all right, we're gonna teach about tithing and word of wisdom. But
Uh-huh.
we taught her about tithing, and she's like, can I pay tithing like now, even though like I'm not a member? And we're
Yeah.
like, I mean, yeah,
Shoot.
probably. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
sure. And we were like, man, like we hit the jackpot. This woman just like gave up like alcohol and tea, and now she wants to pay tithing even though she's not baptized yet. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So we were really lucky to be able to have met her and um to progress towards baptism with her. So that was really cool.
It's really cool.
Uh,
You know,
Um,
tithing is kind of one of those things that some churches are outside of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. They do it. So sometimes when you teach that, it's not that difficult of a commandment because they know about it, you know. I wonder if
yeah.
this was the case for Sharon, but
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
don't know. It didn't seem like that, like you said, it didn't seem
Sort
like
of a
that
big
much of a
deal.
surprise to her. So she was
Yeah,
kind of like, "Oh yeah, like it makes sense." So that was great for her to be so gung ho about it from the beginning.
that's very
Um,
cool.
and then the last that I wanted to talk about is, and I'll talk about this a little bit as well in my with my preach my gospel nugget coming up here pretty soon. But this was the first time I wrote this in my journal. This was the first time since I had come out that I felt like I wanted to be there. Like, and for me, that's a big deal. Not everybody is like me. A lot of people, had very clean, clear motivations for wanting to be out on a mission, and were
Yeah,
very gung ho about the work. And for me, it was a little bit slower to get there. And first few weeks and months were really hard for me, but I
sure.
think I finally was able to start feeling in my heart and in my mind that, um, I guess that, like, I do enjoy this work and this is actually where I want to be. And I was starting
Yeah,
to recognize and feel the true joy that missionary work can bring, which, I mean, if you remember from past podcast episodes, I've had a lot of really cool experiences with Carolina and with
uh-huh.
um, Stephanie and Tyler and a lot of different people that I've taught, where it's just been so apparent that God has been at work in their conversions. And so being able to teach these awesome people at the very beginning of my mission was kind of helps me to transform into not only a better missionary, but somebody who was passionate and motivated to go out and do the work, as opposed to just kind of doing it because I knew I had to do it, So that was really
Yeah.
cool.
I would say, like, for me at this point in the mission where I'm at, like talking about right now, I still have some growing to do. It sounds like you're getting your growing licks right now, but like for me, it's just like I still have some growing to do. You'll see with my next companion, that kind of stuff. But
I mean,
yeah,
I by no means was I'm only
a
2.5
perfect.
months in. I still had a
Yeah,
lot of growing to do too, but I at least was able to make that change, which I think was integral for the rest of my mission.
that's great. That's great.
But let's go ahead and move on to the
Yeah,
scriptural nugget for this week. Why don't you get us started?
sure. So, this week I decided to take from Doctrine and Covenants, section 11, and this section the Lord is talking to Hiram Smith and telling him different things about what he can do to be a good missionary. And so I feel like it's like really um, helpful for those that want counsel about what to do. So it says in verse 19 through 21, "Yea, cleave unto me with all your heart, that ye may assist in bringing to light those things of which has been spoken. Yea, the translation of my work, be patient until you shall accomplish it. Behold, this is your work, to keep my commandments, yea, with all your might, mind, and strength. Seek not to declare my word, but first seek to obtain my word, and then shall your tongue be loosed. Then, if you desire, you shall have my spirit and my word, yea, the power of God unto the convincing of men." So there's a lot of good things in that scripture. The very first thing is it's kind of like the first and greatest commandment to love God. We need to cleave unto him with all of our hearts.
Mhm.
And then he tells us what our work is, which is obedience, or obedience to the commandments that he has set for us. And then as we seek to declare his word, first we need to seek to obtain it, which is through study and like through scripture study, through study of what the prophets have been saying, all of those different things. And once we have all of that, then the Spirit of God will help us with convincing men of the gospel of Jesus Christ. So I think this is like really great. Another thing that they say about the scripture is, how in Moses 139 it talks about God's work and glory to bring to pass immortality and eternal life of men. Well, in this
Mhm.
scripture, Christ is saying, "This is your work and glory, to keep my commandments, yea, with all your heart, might, mind, and strength." So just really good stuff in the scripture, I felt.
That is cool. I haven't thought about it like that, but yeah, it's cool how he kind of gives us a purpose and how our purpose aligns with his purpose.
Yeah.
Um, Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that. I especially, have a testimony of that last verse where it talks about study and learning the word, and I
Yeah.
definitely felt and recognized the Spirit telling me and prompting me, various scriptures as different thoughts, and that definitely could not have been possible unless I had, studied and sought after those things to begin with. So
Yeah,
I like that.
exactly. Yeah. So what was your preach my gospel nugget?
Yeah, it kind of aligns honestly with what I was talking about, the changes that I was undergoing on the mission at that time. And this little excerpt can be found in the first chapter of the New Preach My Gospel. It's a quote from Gordon B. Hinckley, and it says, "Do you want to be happy? Forget yourself and get lost in this great cause. Lend your efforts to helping people. Stand higher, lift those with feeble knees, hold up the arms of those that hang down, and live the gospel of Jesus Christ." And so I really liked that quote as I was looking at it today, because I kind of felt like that was, um, to me, what I loved most about my mission was the people that I met. And I feel like I was blessed with this wealth of charity and love
Uh-huh.
towards my fellow men that I didn't really have before my mission. And
Yeah.
even now, since then, you know, I reflect on my time as a missionary, and I want to get back to that point where I felt like I was just so compassionate and service oriented and thinking about others more than I thought about myself.
Yeah.
And the times on my mission that I was the happiest was when I was thinking more about how am I going to help this person, or how can we serve the people in the community this week, or whatever it might be. Um, Losing yourself in the work and especially just serving others was such a game changer for me, and like it's definitely something that I learned and want to, I guess, get better at now because I've lost a lot of that since I've been home. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I really like that and want to get better at it for sure. I'm sure a
Yeah.
lot of us can get better when it comes to serving others.
Yeah. I think a good question that we can ask our listeners is, what can you do to be happy while you're on your mission or while you're serving your mission? And
Yeah,
like today, for instance, my wife and I we have this opportunity a lot in our ward to have the missionaries over. And then also, which was really cool, is both my wife and I are ward missionaries, like, so elected ward missionaries with along with
mhm,
everybody else. And I was able to go out on a lesson with them today and like meet one of
awesome.
their people, and also like um s- share about the restoration, and then offer my services as like a driver for this person that is progressing towards baptism. So I thought that was really cool.
That's awesome, man. I wish I could. I really wish that I could go out with missionaries more often, but in Utah, it's a lot harder.
You
But
should see if you can do the TRC. Is that what it's called? Those- You know,
oh, at the MTC.
yeah, you should see if you can do that. That'd be really fun. Do you think?
I don't know. I know they're paid now.
Oh, really?
Uh, yeah, and I think you have to be a BYU student, but I could be wrong.
Oh,
I'm not 100% sure, but I am a BYU employee, so maybe they'll cut me some slack. I don't know. But
that'd be
I
cool.
do
It'd
love spending time with the missionaries.
It'd be cool if you and your wife could do that and like pretend to be like a couple that drinks and just kidding.
Oh, we don't have to pretend, man. You should see us on the weekends. No, I'm just kidding.
Partying
I
it
do
up like
not
it's hot.
I do not advocate for drinking and drugs and all that stuff. But
No.
yeah, no, I definitely remember, so I was the ward mission leader in my last singles ward that I was in.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I got to go out to missionaries then, and I thought it was just so fun. And I
That's
got to
cool.
go out to missionaries shortly after I got home from my mission, and I just loved it. I just love being on the missionaries and being able to do missionary work with them. So
Yeah,
let
you
this
know
also
what's
be an
really
invitation. Oh, sorry,
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, no, let this be an invitation. What?
An invitation to anybody who's listening. If you have the opportunity to go and serve with the missionaries, it is so like, I guess,
Rewarding.
joyful and rewarding. That's the word. Yeah, it's so rewarding for you and for the people that you're serving.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is that our our ward, like, sent out like a blanket calling of ward missionary to everybody, like said, if you want to be a ward missionary, come to us and we come to the bishopric and we will make sure that you become one. And so Sarah and I were like, yeah, well, sign us up. We want to be ward missionary.
That's like my dream. Well, I loved being ward mission leader, but being a ward missionary, just helping with the missionaries in general would be just my
Yeah,
dream calling.
that'd be
I,
pretty
I
cool.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coolio.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thanks so much to everybody for tuning in and listening about our experiences as missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Um, if you would like to reach out to us, please, you can follow us at begooddogoodpod on Instagram, or you can reach out to us at begooddogoodpod@gmail.com. If you want to listen to the podcast or watch it rather on YouTube, you can do that at youtube.com/@begooddogoodpod. And if you're listening via Spotify, we'd appreciate it if you would rate us or give us a rating, because that helps us to be better, as well as to get the message out to other people who want to hear about it. So please share it with anybody that maybe is preparing to serve a mission, or who is a return missionary like us. I think everybody can benefit from being a little bit more missionary minded and being reminded of what it's like to serve as missionaries. So thank you so much once again, and remember to be good and do good.
Yep.